Hi. Okay. Um, I am here because we are going to take a moment and celebrate and talk about Get Your Mind Right by me. It's been a year since I've published this book. I'm super happy about that. I want to celebrate. I want to acknowledge the year that it's been and uh, not necessarily pat myself on the back, but give kudos to my work, celebrate my work is one of the things. Honestly, I feel like it's a responsibility. On one hand, just as the creator, so what happens is you put work out in the world and you don't know what's going to happen to it or where it's going to go or any of those things. You just put it out there and, like, here it is. Um, but I want to acknowledge that process of, like, I put something out into the world. Here we are a year later, and don't expect me to continue to do this, but on this occasion, I think that, and this is where the other part comes in. The first part is just I want to acknowledge my work, but the other part is the marketing aspect of it. It has been a year. We are going into the holiday season. Make sure you get your copy, and it's a great gift. The book is critically acclaimed, and I'm not going to sit here and sell you on it. If you want it, you want it. It's available wherever you buy your books, but it's critically acclaimed. It's a great read. Um, Let me see. Is there something in here? Can I just, like, I'm gonna just pull something out. I'm just like flip and poke. I'm gonna flip and poke on you. All right, so I'm gonna read a little excerpt out of chapter 25, and I wrote this, but I don't know what I'm about to read aloud. So here we go. Another variable that presents itself in this equation is time. You may feel as though you don't have enough time to accomplish what you want to, or that things aren't happening fast enough for you. While it's true you ought to have a sense of urgency, what's also true is that urgency without focus is fruitless. You don't want to be busy doing nothing. If you can get focused on what you want and work towards it relentlessly, your perception of time will matter less because you know you're putting your best foot forward every day. So, bravo. That was out of chapter 25, Feature Not a Bug. And in that chapter, I talk about how we don't necessarily appreciate the accoutrements of our life. And when I say accoutrement, it's whatever you have that contributes to your self concept. Sometimes we don't always appreciate those things, and we may even deride them as why is such and such like this for me? Why am I going through whatever it is I'm going through? Why am I struggling in the way that I'm struggling? Feature Not a Bug encourages you to this chapter, chapter 25, Feature Not a Bug encourages you to flip your thinking, reframe your thought process, and consider those hangups or those things that you don't like about your context as opportunities to cultivate and grow and develop and pursue whatever it is you truly want to grow, develop, and pursue. And in that specific excerpt that I just read with respect to time, sometimes we do get caught up in it didn't happen on my timetable. It didn't happen when I wanted it to happen, or because it didn't happen when I anticipated or expected or had hoped. Now I'm just not going to pursue it anymore. And I can empathize with that type of thinking because I can think like that sometimes. But the point of the chapter is if it's something that matters to you, your life, just pursuing something that adds value and is fulfilling to you, if it's crucial and critical with respect to that, then you have to allow yourself to occupy a space where time doesn't matter, where this subjective experience for people, it's objective from the perspective of age. Like, we all recognize time because we get older, and we all recognize time from the perspective of the sun is up and then the sun goes down. And we all recognize time from the perspective of it's a means of communication between one person and another. I can tell you 9 o'clock p.m. and you'll know what that means, or I can say 3 a.m. and you'll know what that means. Or if army time, I can say 1600 and you'll know what that means. It's a cursor with which we can form understanding. But regardless of that, you don't have to operate in that way. Just because you communicate with other people in that way doesn't mean you have to deal with yourself in that way. And sometimes that can be liberating, especially when you're trying to um, make sense of your story and make sense of whatever resources and whatever you've been given to propel and create a meaningful and lasting life for yourself. So that was just an excerpt from the book. The other thing that I want to talk about, I've been, by the grace of God, I've been on a podcast tour for this entire quarter, basically from September. Yeah, September. Yeah, September, and I'm booked through the top of, at least right now, through the top of 2026, so through January, and we'll see what happens from there. Um, but in terms of marketing, in terms of putting the content out there, in terms of putting this project out there, why am I doing it? I'm gonna set it up because I don't want it just laying. So, but I'm not. I'll when I want to show you, I'll grab it. But it's like, well, what's going on? So yeah, step one or part one is supporting the creative process and acknowledging the creative process and acknowledging the feat. A lot of people want to write a book and they just don't. Everybody's encouraged to write a book, but not everybody does. And then some people want to write a book and they just don't have anything to say. Um, this book has been critically acclaimed on more than one occasion. It is award winning, and everybody who reads it or encounters it appreciates it for some capacity. So I am grateful for that, and you have to be appreciative for those type of things. So that's number one. But then the other aspect of it is I self-published this book. When you flip to the, I'm gonna tell this story too, since I'm just sitting here talking about the book. When you flip to the copyright page, my publishing company is listed there. Can I'm yeah, I'm not gonna do the most, but I think I can. I'm not gonna do the most, but here I go doing the most. Uh, Kenneth White's Publishing. This book is a self-published book through my own company, and I have to. I just want to support my work. And it's not even that it's my work, but it's like as I'm growing Kenneth White's publishing, and I hope to ideally get to a place where I can support other creators. I want to put lay the foundation and lay the groundwork for doing well with my stuff and then showing people like, hey, I'm a good steward with my stuff. Here are the results. Here are the numbers, here are the charts, all the things, and this is what I can potentially do to help you. That's down the line, but it's a vision, and shout out to Vision. Vision is good. So that is that, which brings us here today and me talking about the book. One of the stories that I was going to tell you about, I had mentioned this since I guess we're just talking now about the book. I might as well. I'm celebrating 1 year. But I want to tell this quick story because I think it's cool. I've alluded to this story, but I haven't told this story, and the story is about this right here. This guy or a sexually ambiguous person right here. My cousin, who is a creative and talented artist, evidently so, obviously, he drew that image for me. But the reason why I had asked him to create the frontispiece for me is because I was watching an episode of Family Guy, and in this particular episode, Stewie and Brian switch bodies, and Stewie says to Brian, I can turn your life around. I can, like, let me be you, and I can do a better job at being you than you can. I'll have you a job, a girl, and like some other stuff. Like, I'll get you on your feet. Just let me do it. Stewie gets Brian to become a professor at a school, and he's teaching some type of literature. I don't know if it's poetry or something. He's teaching some type of literature. And he says, everything in the first half of this book, rip it out. And then the students proceed to question him, and they ask him a litany of questions. Does that include the title page? What about the copyright page? And then, and then someone goes, "What about the frontispiece?" And then he goes, "A what?" It's a funnier scene than how I'm describing it, but it ministered to me because when I saw that video, I was in the middle of writing the book, and after I saw that video, I was like, "Oof, okay, I got to do a frontispiece." So shout out to Seth MacFarlane. Um, just he's a great mind. It's one of like I'm a fan. You know, I have used Seth MacFarlane to describe the Holy Trinity. All right, so think about it. You have American Dad, which is my favorite of the three. Shout out to American Dad. You have American Dad, you have Family Guy, and then you have the Cleveland Show. And we love the Cleveland Show. I mean, we like the Cleveland Show. It's a good IP. In the same way, you have those three bodies of work, which all came from uh, Seth MacFarlane's mind. You also have the idea, the translative or parallel idea of the Godhead, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. These are three different things, whether it be the three different shows or the three different persons of God, but they all operate and have the same spirit, the same source. All three shows come from Seth. All three embodiments of God are God and share the same spirit. So like I'm a fan of the guy. He's obviously influenced my work. It's more, I'll be honest, it's more of a don't meet your heroes kind of thing because I don't know if I'll ever meet him, but but then number two, I don't know if we would get along if I did meet him. But I just wanted to tell that story since we're talking about the book and celebrating 1 year since it's been published. And since we're talking about it, let's talk about the cover. That's me. Look at me looking good and beautiful. That's me. I designed and created the cover as well. And at first I was little, this is my personal copy too. Like that's why I'm just throwing it around, flinging it around back and forth. But when I decided to make the cover, at first I was a little apprehensive. I'm like, damn, I'm just gonna boom mugshot right on the front of my book. But you don't realize how much you influence things and influence places because and also you got to activate your you don't have to activate your confirmation bias, but your confirmation bias can be activated. And so that's kind of what happened there with when after the book got published and I put my face on there and at first I was like a little nervous. I'm like, dang, I'm like I'm giving you all I got, like here I am. And then the book has done well and all those good things, but now I'm starting to notice or I see more people who are doing portrait shot covers, and I'm like, did I do that? Did I influence you? Speaking of influence, wow, this is an influence. Okay. Um Let me call out the man since I'm giving shout outs and we're talking about the book and all a bunch of different things and we're just chatting them. We're celebrating 1 year. So thanks for being with me. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. You're most likely watching this on my Life with Ken page, which is the page associated with my lifestyle brand, but I'm also publishing this page on my uh Kenneth White Publishing, my book publishing page as well. So however you're encountering this, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Um, and thank you. You are awesome. You're going to help us grow. And as you help me grow, I can continue to do more for you and provide you even more valuable content, which is what I care to do specifically on the Life with Ken side. I just want to be of service to you. I just want to give you as much value as I can through my courses, services, um, my newsletter. Be sure to subscribe to our weekly newsletter, my Substack, as well as our founding members, where I publish weekly and exclusive content over there as well. The gentleman that I want to shout out now, he's not the originator here, but I definitely want to shout him out. Bear with me another second because I just pulled him up. Alex Hormanzi. Alex Hormanzi. He is, what is he? He's a founder and a co-founder, an author. Uh, his newest book was $100 million money models. Uh, and apparently he sold 3.6 million copies. I'm just reading his Twitter, but I call him out because he definitely put me on to the um nose strap. Now, I've been living in Austin, Texas for a while, and I've never had allergies. Actually, growing up, I had some pretty bad allergies where it was like fall allergies where my whole throat would close up and, have to see a doctor. It was a whole thing. Eventually, we got those under control, and then I just didn't have allergies. But since moving out here, the weather is kind of something. We get Sahara dust, we get pollen, we get all different types of things in the air. And so since I've been out here, I haven't been breathing right for the last couple of years, last few years. I came across his content and I noticed that he wore the nose strap, and he wears it for whatever he wears it for, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'm not gonna do that. Um, but then it just kept popping up, and I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. So I tried wearing this nose strap, and I've been wearing this 12 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, and less than a day. And like I haven't breathed this good in years. I'm smelling almost too well. So yeah, that talk about influence. There are a lot of things that influenced this book and me, and I like to pay homage to those influences. Even so much so, even on the dedication page of this book, it says, "To the person who inspired this book," and that person, I know who that person is. If I ever see him, I'll tell him. Um, and I'll just say that. But yeah, it was very influential. This individual was a pastor. He preached a very powerful sermon on the topic of get your mind right or change your mind. And me as a Christian who was going through at that time, while the precedes or before this book even came to pass, I was just going through. But that ended up being one of the seeds that ultimately led to the creation of this. Um, just having someone teach something so plainly and so like in a way that was satiating, you can understand what the person was saying. Like that that was powerful. And now several years and 31 chapters later, here we are. Um the other thing that I want to talk about, and I'm gonna wrap up, but the other thing that I want to talk about, so I've been shout out to the influencers and the influences that are good influences, positive influences. Shout out to um the accolades that this book has gotten. It's an accomplished book. The book is pretty accomplished. When like if I go and say, oh, this person said this company or organization or whatever, like I appreciate that. But also, a good story has a little bit of controversy, and a little bit of zest as well. Um, Not zesty, zest of a lemon. Like if you're gonna use the juice, use the lemon. You gotta put the whole thing in there. It makes it taste better. So in that spirit or in that vein, some of the less glamorous stuff with respect to the book, particularly something that just happened recently. I entered the book into as part of my sense of responsibility as the publisher of the book. I submitted the book into a book competition. I've submitted it now into more than one, but this one in particular, which was a relatively big one, and I entered the book into six cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. I entered the book into six categories, just to give it the best shot of winning. And in this competition, I don't really care to give the name. Maybe I will. In some of my other content, you have to be sure to join our newsletter and our Substack, because maybe I'll talk about it in some other content. But regardless of the name, I joined this competition rather, excuse me, and in the details and rules of the competition, there are 4 rounds and then a final round. The first 4 rounds, the first 3 rounds basically are just, is the book written well? Are the details in the book, good? If you clear those hurdles in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and you're decided in round 3 to be a book that the graders and the readers and the curators or critiquers like and appreciate, they move you into the fourth round. Once you get in the fourth round, the rules say that it's basically subjective. Like whoever they decide to pick is who they decide to pick. They don't say it that way. They say that there's nuance in their decision, but you can read in between the lines of what nuance means. I entered the book into 6 categories, and the book made it to the fourth round, the final round in each of the 6 categories. Now, you tell me which one I won. You tell me which category the book came in first in. You tell me which category the book was selected in. Go. If you guessed none, you're correct. So, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? The book, and I'm done. The book is good enough to get to the final round in a very tough competition. Not just once, but 6 times. That means they read the book. They opened the book and they flipped through all 196 pages. They read from the t- from the very first pre-title page. Where is it? I don't think it's called a pre-title page, but from here, they read from here all the way to here, which is the back of the book. You know, they read the whole freaking thing 6 times, and 6 times they said, "This is one of the best books I've ever read," which is a shout out. Now, you gotta take your wins. Someone's gonna read your stuff 6 times, and 6 times they tell you it's the best thing they ever read. But then when it came down to, do I want to, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but when they look at themselves and say, do I want to give the winner of the do I want the winner of our competition to be this book with this black man on the cover that was self-published, or do I want this more appetizing and palatable project to win? Not saying that that project isn't as good as this one or whatever the situation is, but when it comes down to those nuances, what were the nuances? But that doesn't matter. I just tell you that to say that yeah, the book's been through a lot. I've been through a lot. It's been a year. Make sure you get your copy. It's obviously good. It's probably the book has been called the book has been called one of the best self-help books of this year 2025. So like you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't read it. But evidently so, if it could be someone's near favorite book 6 times in a row. Like that's deep. Like all right, if you don't necessarily engage with the book reading process, reading, not even writing, if you don't engage in the process of entertaining yourself outside of looking at a screen in some capacity or doom scrolling, maybe you don't get it. But like, like that's impactful to revisit something on more than one occasion, and each time you revisit it, you're like, yeah, that's one of the best books I've ever read. So so and it's one of those things where you can't make that up. But despite my perceived snub, I don't know if that's actually what happened, but it certainly feels like that's what happened. But despite my perceived snub, um, on to bigger, better, and greater things. I am working on the audiobook. I want to get the audiobook out there soon. I don't do my own audio. I just even on my articles on Substack, I process that. So I want to get. Plus, I feel I respect and appreciate creatives. So like, and I'm also that guy that just doesn't want to do everything himself. And Also, you can't do everything all yourself. The Bible says, God says in the Bible that it's not good for man to be alone. Alone, all in one. You don't need to do everything yourself. It's not an alignment for you to do everything yourself. So I try to, find help where I can, and sometimes finding that help takes time for uh, one for a host of reasons that you're certainly welcome to speculate on. But yes, audiobook's coming, paperback is coming. Um, yeah, and I'm gonna support the full cycle of this book until that is done. And that is what I wanted to talk about. Celebrating 1 year of Get Your Mind Right. I am so happy that I wrote this book. And one of the changes, or one of the things um, that impacted me since writing this book, I would say, is just I wasn't, I'm grateful. Be, I'm grateful, but I also wasn't anticipating or expecting the book to circulate and be and operate the way it's circulating, being and operating. Um, what I mean by that is, like, this book is in places and spaces and people are reading it. I don't know who you are, but I know you're reading it. Um, the book is getting recommended by people. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you put something out into the world and you don't know how it circulates. You don't know who's going to pick up on it or how it's going to connect with somebody. And I'm grateful that I've been on this podcast tour recently and I've been able to talk to people who have been impacted by it and share some of the information that's in it, and really just talk about stuff like psychology and mental health and business business development, professional development, personal development, lifestyle. I'm grateful that, and that was one of the things that ministered to me um, when this particular season that I'm in now started. Just that idea of your gifts making room for you. And so I'm glad that this gift has been making room for me. Make sure you make it a gift this season or whenever you can get your hands on it. Get Your Mind Right by me, Kenneth Weich, available wherever you buy your books. Thank you for taking the time to celebrate with me 1 year, and I will connect with you again in the next video. Bye.